Welcome to Pinball Mayhem. This is Ed. Just giving a quick update on the cabinets. The formerly black side cabinet, I don't know how I want to refer to this. I got the monitor out and I just did a little bit of sanding on the sides where the bolts were, just to take the rest of the paint off. As we discussed, I had that little tear in the support board, and on the back you can see I kind of tried to glue that together. Let me go around, get a little bit better look. It was this lip here was a little bit frayed. I should put a little bit right there. There's enough of it here where I'm not going to worry too much about rebuilding this up. I mean, it is the back door. After this, I'm going to just look over the cabinet one more time, see if there's any woodworking required on this one. The bottom edge is pretty darn good, so I think this cabinet is pretty much ready for body filler. Or filler, so fill up all the cracks that I can get to. I mean, it's not bad enough on the bottom here to worry about filling it with wood. It's minor. Now, the left cabinet, which is formerly on the right, I pulled all the clamps off. The back still needs some clamping, but I'm going to keep focusing on the bottom of this cabinet. Now, a couple things I want to point out with the way the clamping went. Here you can see it actually pulled it in a little bit. So I actually may have over clamped it, or the wood may have just been deteriorated. So I'm going to keep that in mind when I'm repairing it. I can't sand it like that. That's going to look like garbage. I'm not worrying too much about this groove here. It's going to eventually get filled, and I may end up having to use a little bit of glue to hold that T-molding at the bottom if it gets too wide. You see it's narrow. But I'm going to keep working on that. I think I lost a little bit of wood. But if you look at the profile, it's definitely rounded. This should be a square corner. So that's what I want to work on the inside and the outside. I want to put some wood here on both sides to give me something to either body fill up to. I'll be going over that process probably. I think that's my next thing. This side, I found a piece of 1/8" plywood I had from building my Hal guy. I glued that in there. I got a little bit of a gap, so I might have to fill it. But the most important thing to me, I ended up putting a couple pieces of cardboard. I had to sand off the glossy coating off of them in between just to get it a little thicker. One thing that's the most important thing is not really worrying about the gap here. I mean, it's wood. You can see the patch in the plywood before they even built it. Is to make sure your wood is running all the way to the corner. So I want it to run all the way out past the corner, so that when I sand this flush with a sanding block, and like I said, not every time you need to grab a power tool, I can make it flush and have a nice sharp corner rather than being low and having to fill it. Because if you fill it, that little tip will break off. Here, I think we're going to be fine. I ended up putting a piece of this metal in here and clamping it to try to keep the integrity of this groove. Had a little bit of delaminating up there. I glued that up. And I started, I ran a tap through these two holes. Now, when you're running a tap through, this is a 3/8/16. They always say, you know, lubricate the tap, or, you know, put some oil on there. Now, I don't want to soak the wood with oil, so I did is I lightly put oil on here on the tap, and then I'm just gonna work it in. Now, the reason I stopped is I keep hitting this clamp, and I'm just gonna it's moving a little bit. I have to be careful. If you can have it on both sides, you can tap it so you don't twist it. Now, with tapping occasionally, now it's already tapped, so I'm not cutting a new thread. Actually, what I can do, because this is glued overnight, take that off, set it in my tap handle, and I can do this with my left hand. Now it's much easier. Occasionally you want to go back a quarter turn. What that does is that cleans these flutes out, because if you get a burr running, now since these are already tapped, now if they're shot completely, they're falling out, put new ones in. These look like they might still survive. I lied, that one's going to come out. So I'll grab a new one and throw it in there. And I want to have, you want to have these threads nice and clean for the next guy. Because, yep, that's shot. All right, so I'll put a new one in. This one I was able to tap. Should be able to get the other two on the other game. You want to have good threads on those. Don't overlook that. Even if you're not using it, if the next guy says, hey, I need some feet on the bottom, it's going to protect the bottom of this wood from this damage. Now, this is supposed to have nylon feet, which are long gone. as well. So see how that turned out. Yeah, not perfect. I'm gonna have to do some filling. Still some wet glue underneath, but that's okay. That's okay. He'll that there's what's left of my wax paper. See, I reuse this over and over again. Yeah, that's gonna dry for a day before I do more work on it. But the clamps can come off. So today I'm going to be working on the next step I'm going to show you guys is what to do with this. I mean, this is really the worst of it. I have all my nails inset down. I hit those with the nail set earlier. But we have this just horrible edge here. Now we worked hard. I got glue between all these layers with the putty knife. I clamped it and I reclamped it and I went through it multiple times to have a solid structure. If this isn't solid, if this is still mush, then I'm talking about taking wood up and doing using the router to make a rabbet in it. But here I'm going to show you what I would do in this situation. Just because everything is solid, it's a little ugly, so I'm going to rebuild this the best I can. Don't worry too much about the bottom edge right now. We're going to overbuild. Everything is going to come out. It's going to come thicker and deeper, and we're going to set it up so that we can fill it and then come in with wood filler between the good and the bad. Because I mean, I don't need to take it out past here, depending on how much wood I got. I'll have to see. But really, I'll set up the. I'll show you how I would remove this wood, prepare it, and put the next piece in. And I'm gotta do that for both sides. The back here, I'll have to see how much wood I can get in there. That looks okay. The front corners, I gotta pay attention to. If I don't laminate them, I gotta put something on here. And this one, I gotta do something similar. I don't know if I have to replace the whole thing. It might be advisable to set up the router and put a new strip in both sides just to give me some strength. So I still got a few days of woodworking just on this bottom before I can sand it and set it up right. And when I set it up right, then I gotta finish the woodworking on the back and take the monitor out. So thanks for watching. Hopefully next update I will be able to show you a little bit how I am setting up that wood removal and going to start that repair.